Today we begin with Psalms 38. And it's a very nice psalm because it has to do with a person who's feeling down because of their own sins. The idea that, O Lord, rebuke me not in thy wrath, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure, for thine arrow stick fast in me, and thy hand press the sore on me. Here's someone who's feeling his own iniquity. He's feeling that God is coming down upon him because of things that he's done. And he does. He goes that mine iniquities have gone over my head as a burden. They are too heavy for me. It's his own iniquities. He's not blaming this on society or culture or other people or his enemies. This is him. This is the psalmist dealing with his own feelings of inadequacy and sinfulness and calling out for mercy. He says, I am troubled and I am bowed down. I go mourning all the day long. My loins are filled with loathsome disease, and there is no soundness in my flesh. I am feeble and sore broken. I have roared by season of the disquietus of my heart. My heart won't even let me feel quiet. I'm so disturbed about the things that I'm doing. I'm reminded of something that Paul will later say, that when it comes to sin, the things I want to do, I don't do. Things I don't want to do, those are things, who's going to help me because of this sinful body I live in? Here's the psalmist dealing with the same thing. My soul heart panteth, and my strength faileth me, and the light of mine eyes, it is all gone from me. My lovers and my friends stand aloof from my sore, and my kinsmen stand afar off. Those that seek after my life lay snares for me. When we're involved, especially in personal sin, our enemies take that time to pounce. Our enemies take that time to prey upon us. And he's feeling weak, but what does he do? He goes, hear me, unless otherwise they should rejoice over me when my foot slips. See, he's saying that his foot has slipped. No one made him slip. His foot slipped. I am ready to halt, and my sorrow is continually before me. I will declare mine iniquity. I will be sorry for my sin. And notice he wears sin there, not just the sins that he does, the fact that he is sin. It says, forsake me not, O Lord my God, be not far from me. Make haste to help me, O Lord my salvation. An interesting thing here at the very end, that it says, forsake me not, O Lord. It's the capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. That is the signification in the King James of the word Yahweh, of Jehovah, the holy covenant name of God. But he says, Jehovah, O my Elohim. So the word God there in Hebrew is Elohim. But in 22 he says, make haste to help me, O Lord. But it's L, little o, little r, little d, capital L. That is for Adonai. So in 2 verses, he's calling out to Yahweh, the covenant God. He's calling out to the God of the universe, who's the creator of all things, the creator of all men. And he's calling out to Adonai, this personal, friendly, friendship-oriented, connected, intimate God. He knows Adonai, and he's asking for forgiveness from Yahweh, from the God of the universe, and from Adonai. He sees his sin as against God. God in every personification of his character. He is one God, showing himself in 3 different ways here. So that is Psalm 38, and it's a very good psalm for us to think about when we're dealing with personal sins and personal iniquity. Going back to Exodus, we were looking at Exodus 25 and 26. And it's very interesting that we had just finished in 24 when they have affirmed this covenant. They had already got the covenant put together. Moses goes up the hill when they get there, meets with God, comes with the 10 commandments and some not personal, but some laws about how we deal with servants, how you deal with money, how you deal with personal property, how do you deal with one another. So he gives them the covenant. And he comes down to the people in 24 and says, okay, now we're going to ratify this covenant. We're going to sign it with God. And it has to be sealed in blood. So they have some blood sacrifices. And then they go see God. And God communes with them. It says that the men, the nobles that went with Moses and with Aaron, ate and drank. They affirmed this covenant. This covenant is now sealed. Now we're going to see for the rest of the book, and it's more delineated again. Repeated, actually, I should say. It's repeated again in Deuteronomy But now we're going to look at the outgrowth. Just what does that mean in society? What does that look like in a religion? What does that look like in an economic structure? What does that look like in families and in relationships with one another? We have the basic covenant there of the 10 Commandments. And from that comes, here's how you treat your servants. And here's how you treat one another. Here's how you treat women. Here's how you treat property. Here's how to deal with thievery and murder and these basic things. Now we're going to go even further to what do we do next. It's interesting in 25, he begins, and God always begins with what's most important to him. He didn't begin with, well, we need to set up borders, or we need to set up schools, or we need to set up centuries, we need to set up an army, we need to set up a governmental structure. He starts with the tabernacle. He starts with himself. He starts there, and he's going to branch out, and you'll see it go this way, and then it becomes the nation of Israel. So he starts with talking about the tabernacle. And he tells them that there are specific colors that they need. They need specific items. He says that I want you to bring you gold and silver and brass. Gold and silver and brass. You're going to need all three of them. Gold is for for the inside, for the Ark of the Covenant, for the inside of the tabernacle, for the wood on the inside of the tabernacle. You're going to need silver for all the things that we utilize, that they utilize, I should say, in the worship of God in the tabernacle. You're going to need brass, and that's the place of judgment. That's where they have the brazen laver, where they do a lot of the burning, a lot of the sacrifice to God. And so you see where this comes out into play. And so he says he needs blue and purple and scarlet linen, fine linen, woven together. He needs goat hairs, he needs ram skins, he needs badger skins, and shittim wood. These are the things that he needs. And he starts gathering them up from people who are willing to bring them in. They didn't need just everything. These are the things they needed, so they started gathering it up. And so first he starts at the very core, and that's making the Ark of the Covenant. And he starts giving dimensions, and I think the dimensions here are very important. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on dimensions. I'll give you just a basic overview. There are several good YouTubes on this. You can even sit down with pencil and paper and within basic parameters come up with a good idea. It says that the ark would be made of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half. Or a cubit is from the tip of your finger to the elbow. Most people say it's about 18 inches. You could even go with 20, just to give you a round number to deal with when you're doing calculations. We're not building it, so if we got it off a little bit bigger here, a little bit bigger there, a little bit taller than normal, just for our understanding, that would be fine. But you're dealing with 18 inches, the normal idea of a cubit. So 2 cubits, 18 and 18 is 36. Half of a cubit would be 9. So 36 and 9 is about 45 inches. So the thing, it has a length of 45 inches. And its height is a cubit and a half. So you're looking at 18 plus 9 is 26. And it's a cubit and a half in height and a cubit and a half in breadth. So it's this thing that's as tall, that's square, that's as tall as it is long, tall as it is wide, but it's longer. You'll notice also there is kind of a basic relationship between later on when we look at the entire tabernacle. The tabernacle, when we look at it in a chapter, will also be 10 by 10 by 30. So just like you've got here, which is 45 by, what did I say, a cubit and a half, is 18 plus 9, is 36. So again, you get the idea of a rectangular shaped ark and a rectangular shaped building. So God is sticking with this same kind of motif here. So he builds this, and you're overlaying the whole thing with pure gold. And you can put rings on the sides, you can put staves through it. You don't carry it like you would a box. You create these long staves that are also made of gold over wood, and you use them to carry it. People will be carrying it over their shoulders like this, and when you have to transport the thing, that's how you transport it, with those 4 rings and the staves. And they'll also create a mercy seat. A mercy seat will be also as long as the Ark of the Covenant, as wide as the Ark of the Covenant, but it's only about a half of a span of your hand thick. So you lay that directly on top of the Ark of the Covenant. And again, the figurativism is theirs. That's grace, mercy. The mercy seat is on top of the covenant of the law, that the law leads to mercy, the law leads to Christ. And they're going to create these cherubs, these giant cherubs that are going to be there. They don't face in like some of the Ark of the Covenant that you've seen in some dramatic interpretations, but they spread the wings out. In fact, when later on, when we look at the Temple of Solomon, the wings touch one another and then touch the walls. And the angels' heads are facing in. They're facing looking down. What you would looking like if you made this thing and set it off to against the wall, it looks like an empty throne. It's something to realize that is where Jehovah, that is where Yahweh, that is where Jesus met with the high priest when they came in once a year. That's where they met with him. He's going to create a veil also in the room between. They'll call that the most holies, the holy of holies, and this other place will be the holies. So he talks about building that. Talks about building a table, a smaller table, which they're going to put out in front of the veil, which is on against the wall. There they're going to make it out of pure gold. He's got the dimensions here. 2 cubits shall be the length, and a cubit the breadth, and a cubit the height. So it's this little square table, and it sets to the side, and that's where they keep the showbread. That's where they keep their utensils. That's where they keep the bowls and the spoons and the covers, they were all made of pure gold, and they're set on this table for showbread. He wants showbread in front of him forever. He also has them make a candlestick. Now, if you've ever seen the Jewish menorah, that's exactly what we're talking about. 1 stick that comes up, 3 that come out on each side. They have little knobs, kind of like almonds that go out. It's a very beautiful candlestick. Holds 7 candles, of course. They light the one in the middle and the other 6. We are reminiscent of Jesus saying that I am the vine, you are the branch. Here we have this vine going up, and then we have these branches. He is the main light. We are the little lights. The interesting thing that I'm also going to mention, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, they will encase this entire room with gold. And they'll also have gold embroidery on the veil. So what happens is if you light this candle and put it in there with all that gold, gold is highly reflective. You mean you don't have windows in here. You don't lift the door to the tabernacle and see darkness. You're actually going to see the glow of the gold. And the gold will be reflecting the light all over the place. So it's really going to be very beautiful when they're done here. And they make that, and they make tongs for so they can light the lamps. And they give them, and thou shalt make 7 lamps. Therefore, when you light the lamps thereof, and you may light over against it, and the tongs thereof, and the snuffer dishes, some be of pure gold. You're going to have to snuff it out if you're going to transport it. So they're going to have these snuffers that they use to go to put the lights out. And they follow this pattern to the T. In 26 here, we start talking about the tabernacle itself. So we've got the Ark of the Covenant. We have the lampstand, which is the menorah. And we have the table for all the dishes and stuff for the bread that they're going to be having. Now we're going to build the tabernacle. And again, the length of you're starting with the curtains. They're going to build a wooden building that's going to be rectangular, like a wooden log cabin, except they're not logs. And they're going to have sheets of planks that go down across the side, then across the back, then across the other side. And then you'll have some on the front with a place for them to enter through a flap. And then you'll have boards that go across to create beams. They're going to overlay this. They're going to overlay this with some curtains. And he talks about the type of curtains. You're going to make, thou shalt make 10 curtains. And each one of these curtains shall be 28 cubits. And the breadth shall be 4. So they're 28 cubits long, 4 cubits wide. I put that out. I looked at the numbers there. And that's like 14 feet by 2 feet. But you're making 10 of them. So one of them is 14 feet by 2 feet. The next is 14 feet by 2 feet. You got 10 of those going across the top. And they're put in the ground with stakes. They also created ringlets. Every one of the curtains, and you got 10 of them, will have rings on one side and little hooks on the other so that they hook together. For example, if this were the ringlet, that you have on one side, and this was a hook tied to a piece of string. You push it up through here, and just like this, and this is how you, this is what will hold it. Then when you want to get rid of it, you just pull this out, pull it through, and you're unhatched. So it's really kind of a nice little quick little thing for you to be able to take apart and put together this tabernacle. It's meant to be mobile. And so you're making those. And he also says that you need to make, the first one is beautifully embroidered linen with all these different colors. But the second one will be made of goat skin. The third one will, and then on that, and you make it just the same way, except it's going to be a little longer. It's actually 15 by 2. He makes it longer so it fits over the linen. Then you have ram skin dyed red. Red of here is a symbol of blood. And you have ram skin that's dyed red. Again, it's the same size as the goat skin. And the goat skin and the ram skin are longer than the linen. And on top of it is badger skins. Now you might go, big deal. Who cares about all those skins? Oh, wait. Got smart. He makes this wooden building, you know, rectangular, 4 sides. We're going to look at that one in a minute. But he's going to cover it. So you have this linen. Then you're going to have some goat skins, which is, and then you're going to have some wool, which is like an insulator for keeping it nice and cool. Then you're going to put badger skins on top of that for waterproofing. That's exactly what he's done here. He's created something that's waterproof with an insulator over the wood. So it's to protect the wood from rain, it's to protect the, and it'll keep it nice and cool in the summer, keep it warm in the winter. If you've ever gone into a cave, it's been a hot day, but if you go into the cave, it's nice and cool because the air in there has stayed cool. Here, if you leave the door shut, and it would be shut most of the day, it's going to stay pretty cool in there, relatively speaking. It's not going to get all toasty and warm because you're not cooking the insides because of what the insulation is doing to keep it at a medium temperature. So he creates all of this, and we're going through 26 on this. I'm not going to go too far into it, talking about 6 boards and talking about how the boards all go together. I went and got a couple of pictures. This is a picture of the Ark of the Tabernacle. Again, you're looking at a rectangular building. Again, it's like 2 squares, or actually it's 3 times as long as it is tall and around. You'll notice that it's more like a cube in the doorway, but it's going to be 3 times longer going to the back. And then, of course, here you see them dealing with the bronze level, going with the washing and going with the burning of the sacrifices. And, of course, the fencing to keep out anyone who's not a Levite. Here's another rendition, an idea of that let us what the tabernacle would have been like. Again, this is highly mobile. They also set it up to where the wood would be connecting with one another. They would create these loops or these hooks on top so that the wood would connect with one another with these latchets, and they would just latch the wood together. And then sometimes on the corner you might have a latch going this way and then a latch going this way. So you're latching the wood together to create this wooden thing. And when you go to take it apart, you just unlatch it and you take them off. Very clever, very creative that he's done here. So we're going through and we're looking at the size of this tabernacle also. I looked it up. So it's like 15 foot by 15 foot by 45. So again, it's 3 times as long as it is high and wide. It's a rectangular building. And really and if you see here on this page, you'll see also where the veil was put in, and the Ark of the Covenant would be back there with the cherubim. So it's a beautiful, it's a very beautiful building. It's put together by a beautiful God, and it's worth looking into. There's several good YouTubes. There's several good places to look at. I won't spend a lot of time on going through all the intricacies of how this is made, but don't just glaze over this part of Exodus. Don't just fly through it trying to get to the good stuff, trying to get to the action. We're going to have like 5 more chapters where we deal with the garments, the altar, the courtyard, all of these things. And they're all connected together and they're equally beautiful. And let's hold them as high as we would some of the action, because there's really wonderful things in here that tell us about our God. Thank you.